everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we are going to learn about the energy bands in solids. Before going to talk about energy bands, we should know the basics of the solids. Solids are made up of number of atoms that are arranged very close together, and each atom consists of nucleus at the center and the electrons revolving around it. These electrons, what happens, will interact with the electrons of the other atom, thereby producing energy levels of the electrons. These energy levels of the electrons are called energy band. In other words, bands are composed of closely spaced orbitals. So here in this slide, energy band can be defined like this. The number of atoms within the crystals can be placed very close together, and also the electrons will interact with each other. Because of the interaction, the energy levels of the electrons will be produced. So the energy levels of the electrons within their shell is caused due to the changes in the energy levels. Now if you talk about conduction band, the electrons in the valence band will jump over to the conduction band when it is excited. So when the electrons are in these orbitals, have enough energy and it will move freely in the material. So this is the energy band diagram. The semiconductor material can be defined or explained clearly on the basis of energy band diagram. The energy level of the electrons are measured in electron volt and it is taken along the y-axis. So here valence band is taken below and conduction band is above. So in between valence band and conduction band, there is a forbidden energy gap. So valence band and conduction band are the bands which are closest to the Fermi level. Fermi level is the line that is drawn horizontal in between valence band and conduction band. We have to imagine a line that is Fermi level. So this Fermi level will determine the electrical conductivity of the solids. Fermi level is the level below which the valence band is located and above which the conduction band is located. So the forbidden energy gap is also called as band gap or energy gap. So in this slide, it is a silicon atomic structure. So silicon atom consists of 14 atomic number. So the electrons of the silicon atom are distributed here in this picture. So in the first orbit, it has maximum of 2 electrons can be accommodated. So this is by using the formula 2n squared. That is, n is the order of the orbits. So if you substitute for first orbit as 1, it will become 2 into 1 squared, which is equal to 2. So the maximum of electrons that can accommodate in the first orbit is 2 electrons. Similarly, in the second orbit, if you put n is equal to 2, it becomes 2 into 2 squared. That is 2 squared is 4. So 2 into 4 will be equal to 8 electrons. So the maximum electrons that can accommodate in the second orbit is 8 electrons. So in the first orbit it is 2 plus second orbit is 8. So 2 plus 8 it is 10. So remaining 4 electrons in the outermost orbit, which is the valence electrons. So the silicon atom showing the 4 valence electrons in its outer valence shell is shown in the first picture. So coming to the second picture, it is a silicon crystal lattice. So how the silicon atom is arranged is shown in the figure. It is closely packed. So the silicon atom are bond together by means of the bonding action of the covalence electrons. Okay. So that is valence electrons. So due to the valence electrons, it is bonded together. So actually we have central silicon atom which have 4 valence electrons around it. Similarly, other silicon atom will also have 4 valence electrons. So by sharing of the valence electrons, we will have 8 electrons. It will have the tendency to acquire 8 electrons at the outermost orbit. So due to the bonding action of the valence electrons, the silicon atom is held together. Okay. So Now talking about the bonds in the semiconductor, the silicon atoms are held together by the bonding action of the valence electrons. So this bonding is due to the fact that the tendency to complete its last orbit by acquiring the 8 electrons in it. So as I said before, the silicon atom will tend to complete its last orbit by acquiring the 8 electrons from the nearby valence electrons. So in most of the substances, the last orbit is incomplete. So what happens? This makes the atom to lose or gain or share the valence electrons with the other atoms. So in semiconductor, the bonds are formed by sharing of valence electrons. Such bonds are called the covalent bonds. So in this slide, energy band diagram of germanium and silicon is shown. In the first picture, germanium, so we have a valence band, that is first band, second band, third band and valence band are all filled bands, and the conduction band is a empty band. So we have a forbidden energy gap of 0.7 electron volt for the germanium. Okay, so this much of energy we have to supply for the electrons to move from the valence band to the conduction band. So similarly for silicon, we have the forbidden energy gap as 1.1 electron volt. So this much of energy has to be supplied for the valence electrons to move from valence band to conduction band. Now in this slide, we have a semiconductor is a substance which has almost a filled valence band and nearly empty conduction band. So very small energy gap, approximately of 1 electron volt, that will be separating the valence band and the conduction band. So forbidden energy gap is of 1.1 electron volt for silicon and 0.7 electron volt for germanium. So only a relative small energy is needed by the valence electrons to cross over the conduction band. So here at room temperature, the semiconductor material, the valence electrons will acquire sufficient energy to enter into the conduction band, and after entering into the conduction band it becomes free electrons. So at room temperature it is nothing, it is about 32 degrees centigrade. So at this temperature the number of free electrons will be very small. Okay, so when the temperature has been increased, the free electrons movement will be more in the conduction band. So that time this semiconductor material will act as a good conductor. Therefore, at room temperature, a piece of germanium or silicon, which is a semiconductor material, is neither a good conductor nor an insulator. So only we call such substances as a semiconductor material. Okay, so in this video we have seen about energy bands in solids, particularly for the semiconductor material. So in the next video we can see the comparison of energy bands between conductors, insulators and semiconductors. Thank you for watching my video. Please subscribe and share this video so that others will be benefited. Also press the bell icon. Thank you so much.